years after years. She's a UFC record holder. Maybe she sent me a really cool text a couple of days ago. I don't think we're allowed to say anything about it, but let's buy some more stock on this savage one, Gillian Robertson.
What's up?
What's up,
What
G?
up, girl?
How you doing? I just
We're
heard
good.
what
How
you
are
guys
you?
are talking about, and I gotta say, it's 100% an excuse.
Yeah, 1000%.
100, 1000%. I'm
Okay.
like, how do you not acclimate your training schedule? I'm like, I fought in Abu Dhabi. My show time was 11 p.m. I fought around 1 or 2 a.m. I'm like, I'm usually in bed by 8 p.m., maybe earlier. So it's not an excuse.
Yeah, especially on that level. Like you.
Yeah, a world championship match. Great point, Matt.
Right.
Great
like
point.
on that level, it's like, dude, you knew better. You knew better.
It's like, how long did you know about the fight? It's like you couldn't change your training schedule.
Exactly.
Like, the whole time I was in Abu Dhabi, I was like nocturnal. You know, like
Yeah.
I went to bed at like, I don't know, it was like 3 a.m. every night, and then I woke up usually around 4 or 5 p.m. and I slept all day long because I knew I had to fight in the middle of the night. So it's like, why not make your training schedule like that?
Totally agree.
Question for you. What was the media obligations like during the week? Did they adjust those to what your fight schedule was going to be, or were they kind of like how they normally would be during fight week?
Yeah, most of them were in the afternoon. I guess I typically don't really have a lot at this point still. I'm assuming for champs, you know, it's like, I
A
don't,
little different.
yeah, it's probably a little different. They get usually like stacked with media where I'm like, I usually have usually one day that's pretty busy. And then besides that, they leave me alone.
I have a feeling that's not going to be for long, my friend.
Not for long. Not for long.
Yeah.
Crazy.
We need to see a Gillian main event soon.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That would be the wish. Hopefully soon.
Fingers crossed.
Something else in I guess coming up. We got a date at least.
Oh, okay. Do we have to keep that on the DL for now?
I never know. Honestly, like,
what are they gonna do? That's like kind of my question. It's like, if it's already set and you guys have signed contracts, everybody's like, we can't tell anybody. It's like the media always announces everything before the UFC. Very rarely do they announce something.
And it's always like an undisclosed source has told us like that so-and-so is fighting.
I'm like, the media usually announces before I get my contract anyway. I'm like, I don't have my contract right now, but it's been verbally confirmed on both sides.
Nice.
Yeah.
But like you said, like, I never, like, it's not like the UFC texts you. It's like, yeah, you can release it now or anything.
Right.
It's just kind of found out. So
that happened to Grant this time too. Like, we didn't even know the other guy accepted the fight, and then somebody posted it on Instagram.
That's exactly how it was with my Michelle Watterson one. I'm like, I think I found out about it, and then a couple hours later it was posted. And I was like, how did this even happen that fast?
God, people talk, man. It's wild.
But yeah, so since that's the case, Luana Pinheiro, November 9th.
Let's go.
We don't have a location yet. It seems like the UFC doesn't really know. I got one location initially, then it got changed last week. So it seems like that's kind of up in the air. But November 9th, Luana Pinheiro.
That's exciting. Congratulations. Nice long fight camp.
Are you allowed to say what the first location was?
I don't know.
So you think is that location is off the board?
Dave's like boop boop boop.
As of now, they've told me a different location.
I gotta make new artwork right now.
That's sick though.
Dave's
Congratulations, Gillian. That's so awesome. Well, on that note, I'm gonna head out. I mean, it can't get much better than that news. That's awesome. But I have to attend to my work. So love you all, and tell Movzar he's the best for me. Very jealous.
Will do. 230. Dude, he's 18-0. Guy's a monster.
It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick. All right, guys. I'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Later, Matt.
Yeah, Gillian, feel free to stick around and talk to Movzar with us.
It's crazy you guys have him on. I literally saw that right before I came on here on the little preview. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
I've been asking everybody. I just walk in the gym. I'm like, Tuesday, my show. People are like, okay. I'm like, sweet.
Why not?
Why not?
The best part. So I drove down to South Florida Tuesday night, stayed with the Dawsons, and we had some stuff at Kill Cliff and at ATT. And it's just like, you go in the gym, and of course, you know it. You've done it for multiple years there. You're just like, wow, whoa, that's crazy. Whoa, look at that. They're rolling together. It's like, wait a second, those two guys are? It's like, it's insane. It's just like, it's a pay-per-view every single
pay-per-views.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I was just about to say. I'm like, you walk in the gym and you see like Dustin and Masvidal or something. You're like, oh shit, I would love to see that. I would pay for that. It's like just happened in the gym.
One thing I won't pay for, I guess I had the bad fortune of having to go to the bathroom right after the practice and go into the male bathroom. Horrible idea. Don't do it again. Horrible.
Dave saw too much.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, way too much. I don't know what the girls do on
obviously
that side.
I've never been in the men's locker room, but I've heard the dudes are walk around way more naked than the girls do. So
what, like, what? I just don't understand. Just put on a pair of shorts. Like, anyways, all right. We're changing the subject real quick. All right. This past weekend, good friend of yours, Molly McCann, did not go her way at all. What's your take on it? Do you think it was a bad outing? Do you give a lot of credit to her opponent? What do you think on Molly's performance at 304?
I think that the fighting nerds are dangerous. I'm like, I noticed them in Bruna Brazil's corner, and I think she fought smarter than she's ever fought before. Obviously, Molly throws a lot of looping punches, heavy pressure forward, and she was planting those knees up the middle, just timing them. Molly drops her head down pretty low when she's throwing a lot of those punches. So Bruna was timing them perfectly, caught Molly with a big knee up the middle, one to the stomach. Like, she was just, I feel like she was very on point, and it was just a smart approach she took to the fight and a smart game plan. But I think it's the team. I'm like, I think the fighting nerds in general, I see everybody who comes out of that school, the way they approach their fights is just so smart. I feel like it really made Bruna Brazil now somebody I'm like, oh, I have to watch her. Where before, like going into this fight, I was like, oh, Bruna Brazil, like she's going to get cut in one or two fights, you know? Where after this, I'm like, oh, she's someone to watch. She fought this fight smart.
Huge improvements. I agree. And not even like Molly's wrestling still, like she still did what she does, which is wrestle hard, and she had huge takedowns and she had good moments, and she's always tough as nails. But Bruna looked phenomenal.
I like I said, I just feel like so many girls, it's like they just go out there to fight. They don't go out there with a game plan. And you could just see, you could see Bruna was really thinking, went out there with a game plan that she strategized for Molly McCann specifically. And it was just, it's something you don't see often. She really impressed me, honestly.
Yeah. There's a few things like I saw she still kind of like she jumped the back a little bit early, but then like if she hit her back, she made good decisions once she was on her back and whatnot, like and I always bring you up when I'm talking about women with fight IQ, because I'm like, Gillian never gives up the back for arms unless it's like the end of the round. Like she's so smart with it. And that's something you do super well. Do you feel like that's something you've always had or something you had to develop?
Maybe a little bit of both. It's definitely something that Dean Thomas, working with him just since I was 16 years old, I'm like, it's something that he's developed in me well. Just by how we drill and how he is. A lot of times when I'm fighting, honestly, Dean doesn't really talk much in the corner. He just kind of lets me fight. Where it's like you see so many other corners, especially when I was an amateur, he would literally not say a word the whole time he was in the corner. But you see a lot of like fighters, their coaches act like they're like a video game character. They're like 1, 1, 2, 3, like jab, whatever. They're screaming at him like I don't know. It's they're not letting their own fighter think. They're not letting them think for themselves. They're not letting them make decisions. And it's like that's really where you start developing that fight IQ is whenever you start making your own decisions. And then that's also to go back is what like Dean does with our drilling too. A lot of times with our drilling, it's very situational. So it's constantly making decisions, your partner giving you a look and you have to make the correct decision. So you're always constantly just making making the right reads. And I feel like that's where I guess shine in MMA is I make decisions faster than most girls.
I love that. Love that.
It's
We
a cheat
didn't have
code.
you on the week before UFC 304, so we didn't kind of get your take on Patty and King Green or Aspinall or even Leon and Bilal. Of course, all that's over. What's your take afterwards? You know, I saw what you said a little bit about Leon, but like, what did you have going into that fight? Were you like most of us or most of the MMA world on Leon? Tom Aspinall looks like the best heavyweight we've maybe ever seen. He just looks invincible. Patty Pimblett gets a submission on King Green. Where were you on before it, and what's your takes after them, of course, on those three big ones?
I guess Patty and Tom impressed me massively.
Yeah.
Patty slicks it, like he went for the guillotine transition to the triangle. I'm like, that was just slick. Just nice transitions on jiu-jitsu you don't see in MMA often. And he was looking good on the feet too before that. So Patty's whole performance really impressed me. And he's also someone who just knows how to go out there and just perform, which is just such, I guess, a huge element on its own. Tom Aspinall too. I thought Curtis Blades was looking good for at the very beginning. Like just he was throwing a lot of clean punches, just looked sharp. And then Tom Aspinall's just so fast. Timed that right hand right over the top. It was absolutely like picture perfect, beautiful. And then we go to the Leon and Bilal fight where I'm like, obviously Bilal was able to come away with the victory. Well, going into it, I guess to start, I definitely thought Leon was going to win, but I didn't completely count out Bilal. I thought he had a chance.
Right.
I still thought he was in the fight, but yeah, it was just, I guess, what a way to win for Bilal. I'm like, why? At what point do you like? I understand he controlled the back for the last. I think it was either the last 2 rounds or it was within the last 3 rounds. Leon controlled one and Bilal controlled 2, just sitting on the back. And I'm like, at what point do you just give up on the back and go to mount or like get to a good striking position, get to a good damaging position? Because it's like, this isn't a jiu-jitsu fight. This is an MMA fight. Like, let's treat it like MMA. Let's start to do damage if we're just
Right.
going to sit here and hand fight. Like, it was very frustrating to watch.
With that being said, do you think, are you kind of, it seems like a lot of the MMA space and media and all that things, whoever it is, Shavkat, Jack Della Maddalena, who's the other young one? There's another young, maybe even Ian, whoever, or even like an older guy like Usman. If whoever fights Bilal next, do you think they beat Bilal, or is he just like this kind of like a bad matchup for a couple of these guys up there and can go on a little bit of a late run here?
Yeah, I honestly think he is like he's gonna be tough to beat. I think he's a bad matchup for a lot of guys, and it's not gonna be an exciting champ. You know, it's not gonna be like we're gonna have all these great fights. But I think he is gonna be able to beat a lot of these top guys.
Awesome. Anything else with 304?
No, I want to pull this comment up to the board because
Okay.
I agree. It says, can you imagine the scrambles between Gillian and Verna? Like, please tell me that is a fight that we're going to see at some point, because I'm sure you feel the same way about Verna as I do. Like, her grappling is just, oh my God.
Okay, no, I feel like me and her, if there's anybody in the division who's similar to my style, it's her, you know? So it's like, I would definitely, I don't shy away from any fight, you know? So I'm like, if that's on the contract next, I'm signing it.
No, Angela Hill doesn't think so. She's been calling you out now for 30 straight days.
It's not my fault I'm fat. I can't do 115 back to back. That's not possible. And that's the only way I'm saying no to a fight is when it's, I'm like, I don't understand though. I'm like, they gave me November 9th. Why can't they just make her fight November 9th? They were trying to give me an 8-week turnaround, give her an 8-week turnaround for me.
Yeah. And you never know. Maybe, especially if one of those, I would assume that's going to be a 15 or a 20-minute fight if that is the main event, Angie Hill versus Tabitha Ritchie. But you never know. Maybe one of those girls might turn back around if something happens with your opponent. But we'll see. And it's November 9th. It's not November 2nd, by the way.
I believe it's the 9th. I could be.
Okay.
I'm like,
Dave, stop making posters.
I got this awesome poster. It's November 2nd and it's Edmonton. That's all. Like, that's gone.
Dave has to make sure everything's perfect.
I love it.
I'll double check before we release the poster.
No, of course. I think Gillian
is beyond an Angela Hill fight.
I thought I was beyond a number. I understand in my post-fight press conference, I said I wanted 1 through 12, but I didn't think they'd give me the next, like, one by one by one. I'm like, I don't have time to climb up step by step. So they gave me number 12.
So the next one needs to be at least like 8.
Yeah.
7,
I'm
8.
like, can we just get a little jump up? That would have been nice.
A teensy bit.
Maybe more though. Like it's so funny. Sometimes the UFC, who was like even Benoit Saint Denis, like he beat Thiago Moises and then he fought Dustin at 3. Like sometimes you jump. So another finish, a big moment for you in a big spot. Like you could go to 12 to like 4. It could be like you and Vernon like that, or the winner between Mackenzie Dern and Lupi Godinez, which is happening this Saturday during the day in Abu Dhabi. That's like. That fight happens, I'm like, oh, Gillian's watching this fight. Like, Gillian's going to be like eating granola, watching this fight. This is right up your alley. What do you think of it? I guess, who do you think wins? Do you think it's a, submission base against the wrestling base, or are they both just going to stand and bang because they're both respect each other down there? What do you think was going to happen in this fight?
That whole card is actually pretty interesting. The whole main card.
Great card.
A lot of good matchups. Yeah. But with the Lupi and Mackenzie fight, I don't know. I think it's another tough matchup for Lupi, but because she just came off of fighting Verena Jandiroba, if I'm saying that right. But she just came off of fighting her, which is a similar style to Mackenzie. The only thing is that Verena has definitely a lot better wrestling than Mackenzie, so she has a better ability to take it to the ground. Where I think that Mackenzie does win the fight if it goes to the ground, but if it stays on the feet, then I think it's Lupi's world.
Lupi's world. Okay. I like it. Like you said, the whole card's awesome. We'll get to the main event in a second. I think it's one of the best main events kind of the summer. Like it's even better than some of these pay-per-view main events. And I know people were really excited about Leon and Bilal going into it, or maybe they weren't. I don't know. I like this main event better. Like Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov is awesome. Like I love this fight, but we also got Cheeto versus Figueiredo. There's a lot of other fights on it. What other fights are really jumping out at you, G?
You gotta love whenever Tony Ferguson's back.
Again.
This is it, G. This is it.
I'm like,
it's gotta be his last one,
right? Fight. It has to be.
It has to. This is it.
But Tony Ferguson, Michael Chiesa, definitely an interesting fight.
Yeah.
I think it's a better matchup for Tony than what we've seen recently, but I still don't think it goes his way.
Yeah.
But we can only hope that it's time. It's time for a retirement fight.
Do you think that the UFC will have to release him for him to retire? Or do you feel like he can make that decision on his own?
I don't know. Tony's a different kind of character, So I don't know if he just he might just be in it because he loves fighting still,
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter to him. But yeah, I think the UFC is gonna how many he's set 0-7, 0-8, something like that in his last
7, I think.
Yeah.
7 in a row. Yeah.
Elle, are we recording this right now? This is live. We're recording.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So
what are you about to say?
My hot take right now is I think Tony Ferguson will fight in game-bred bare-knuckle MMA within the next 12 months.
I would not be the slightest bit surprised.
At all.
The UFC told Diego Sanchez, hey, buddy, it's time. And he said, screw you guys. No, it's not. I'm just going to go fight somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I could see Tony Ferguson doing something similar.
And I actually think Ferguson would be really good there because everyone forgets how good he is on the ground or how good he used to be on the ground. He just doesn't fight there anymore. His scrambles were so awesome and his jits were so great. That was prime Tony when he was he did everything. In the same round, he would strike, grapple, scramble, submission attempt, right hand. He was all over the place. And that was the love affair I think we all had with Tony. And now it's I feel like he's just a kickboxer. And I think if they went to bare knuckle MMA for game bred, I think he can kind of tie some of that back together. Be like, hey, Tony, you're going to get shredded if you just stand here, grapple a little bit, fight. But then if you got to get him down to get a submission, let's go.
Well, and
So.
like, I think there's guys that Tony Ferguson can absolutely still beat. They're just not in the UFC right now, you know?
Right.
Like, they're out there for sure. I 100% agree with this take. I thought Tony Ferguson versus Nick Diaz was the fight to make. And then, but I understand that Luque and Chiesa fought recently, but rematch them and throw Tony and Nick together is what made sense.
Is Nick Diaz fighting this weekend?
Huh?
Is Nick Diaz fighting this weekend?
This weekend?
Yeah.
Did it get scratched?
Yeah, it got scratched.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. I'm sorry.
They knew he wasn't going to fight, and they want Tony to fight so they can move on. They wanted this thing to go. Like, I think in a weird way, as much like he had a great career, a great run in the UFC, but it's like it's time. Like, it's kind of It's like your kids.
I honestly forgot for a second that fight got scratched too.
Like, I love my kids, but I don't want my kids living with me when they're 25. Like, it's time.
It's rough to watch fighters when they can't just it breaks my heart thinking about when I have to walk away from this sport. But I'm like, I'm not going to let myself go on a 7-fight losing streak before I walk away. Like, I'm going to realize when it's my time. I'm like, I feel like there's nothing where it just, like you said, it takes away from that memory of Tony, of great, like how great he was and how, like you said, in a whole fight, but he would do the grappling, striking, and wrestling in one move, you know?
Yeah.
That's the best description of Tony Ferguson I've ever heard.
It was just, he really was such an interesting character to watch to fight, and it was great to watch him fight, and it's like, you just don't want to remember him how we've seen him in these last couple fights.
Yeah.
I
agree. Sean said Dave kicks his kids out at 17. They don't even get 18.
We had a good run. Like, what else do they want from me? I can't pay for them forever.
I see ya.
All right, let's get into this main event. I love this main event. Like, I feels like there was always a main event. It was like 2 summers ago in New York. I remember vividly. It was Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. Of course, Ortega got hurt in it, but it's always these day main events that I love. It's on NBC. So is this card. I love Corey in this fight. What'd you say?
Oh, I just said love a daytime card.
Yeah, it's a good one. Great main event. What is both of you guys' take? Let's start with G, then let's go to UL. Sandhagen, if he wins, he should get a title shot against Merab or Sugar. Can Sandhagen get the job done?
I think this fight's like a grappler's dream, you know? It's a great wrestler, and then Sandhagen's just a great grappler all around. He has great wrestling and just great top pressure. I'm honestly a huge Sandhagen fan, and I've got him going into this.
I'm with G. Like, I'm all on Sandhagen here. Obviously Umar is such a complete fighter. He's very dangerous, but I feel like Corey has been just under that title shot for so long. And we've seen him, like you said, we've seen him wrestle. We've seen his grappling. He's only losing to the absolute best people in the division, like Aljo. And I feel like his pace is incredibly hard to match. And I think his striking style is really hard to prepare for too. So I'm on G's side with this.
Okay. I like it. I don't disagree. I love it. G, do you need to go or would you want to stay a little bit longer? Up to you.
Yeah, I gotta head out.
Okay. Sounds good.
No worries.
Sounds good. Well, G, we appreciate you like always. Dude, did I see on your IG stories a new drink sponsor today?
Oh, it's not. It's actually Karate Combat's drink sponsor. I can't remember the name now. I want to say they're called Tempted. It's a THC drink, though.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love
So I'm like, Awesome got a little care package sent to him today, and President Awesome doesn't indulge, so he thought, what better person to give it to?
Your Karate Combat Nashville looked amazing. Looked incredible, by the way.
Oh yeah, always Karate Combat. It's just such a cool scene out there. Neo was out there.
Yeah, Neo.
Like
Neo
watching Karate Combat.
Random.
I'm like, that's crazy.
Robert Kennedy Jr. was out there.
They had the Hawk Tua girl out there.
Yeah. But who is the girl that
I
was
love how
doing
nobody knows her name. She's just
I
the
know.
hockey to a girl.
It's Haley. It's Haley. Okay.
Okay. All right. Dave knows her name.
Real quick. Who was the girl that was doing the post-fight interviews for Karate Combat?
Yeah, I didn't recognize her.
I'm going to call president right now. I'm pissed off about this right now.
Honestly, I absolutely, and Michelle did a great job. But like, I'm assuming it was like last minute kind of thing, but like she went out there and she absolutely killed it on the mic.
Has he ever seen Gillian Robertson on the mic? She's unreal. She's awesome.
I know. It's like I've just been sitting waiting by my phone, you know?
Gee whiz, I'm telling you, I'm going to be G's new agent. That's it. I'm taking over the agency. I'm calling president right now. We're working on a 6-fight deal for Karate Combat, getting you paid.
Dave, don't let Dave lie to you. He just wants Dana's phone number.
That's a good one. All right, G, we appreciate you. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next Tuesday. If not, we'll talk to you, and I'll message you back and forth. We'll get a good fight poster. I will take that Canadian
we'll get the
flag
date,
off
the location, the opponent. We'll get it all settled.
I got the opponent. G, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, you too. See ya.
Thanks, Gillian.
Man.